Hey everybody, SPAZ here, and welcome to another edition of But Is It Power Pop? I'm sorry it's been a while, but I've been really busy with the podcast, and I've got a radio show. I'll tell all about that at the end of this episode. I'm going to hop in and get some power popping done for you right now. Going to start off with a band called Starjets. They are an Irish band. More along those lines of like punk or punk pop. Just great melodies, great hooks. Starjets, God Bless Starjets is the name of their album. This is the CD that came out on Captain Oi, and it has bonus tracks. And yes, the songs here are absolutely wonderful. They are a little edgy punk, I would say, but that doesn't deter from the fact that the hooks come fast, furious, and there are plenty of them on this CD. Two of the members actually went off and formed The Adventures, if anybody remembers that band. Great band. You should definitely check out Starjets, Adventures. You should check out everything. But not everything is power pop. But is this power pop? Close to it. More edgy, melodic punk, but great stuff. Then up next is a great band, Greenberry Woods. This was the first album, Rapple Dapple, and boy is that yummy and delicious. This is 90s alternative power pop. Great hooks, great melodies, a band to just die for. And then there was also their second album, which was more, it's also cracked. Mine is cracked. Can you see that? Those cracks were there when I got this when it first came out, and I've never replaced the jewel case. Jewel case isn't as important to me as what's inside. It's their second album, and it's really fantastic. This one here is just more straight-edged power pop, 90s power pop. It's not grungy, but it does have a big label feel to it. This, as I said, this is more adventurous, and a lot of great melodies on that. The band, as you know, the Huesman brothers went off to form Splitsville, one of the great power pop bands of our generation. And this is their great release. This is their best album, but every Splitsville album is definitely worth your time, except maybe Splitsville USA. That's more of a garagey thing that just happened to blossom into just being one of the greatest bands ever. But this right here, Splitsville Pet Soul, is just one of the great albums that everybody should own. You should probably own 2 or 3 of them, as a matter of fact. Great band. Like I said, there's Greenberry Woods and Splitsville. I may have already talked about Splitsville before, but they're always worth talking about. Translator. This is their first album. And is it power pop? No, it's not power pop. It's more, generally, it's garagey, with some psych, and some folk elements, and some great new wavy power pop elements. Lots of great songwriting on here, but it's not straightforward power pop. The 2 key tracks on this, of course, are Everywhere That I'm Not and Sleeping Snakes, but Everywhere is a great, this is a solid album. They have a total of 4. All of them are actually 4 original albums, the 4 that came out on Sony. All of them came out on Wounded Bird, and they have at least 1 or 2 bonus tracks, B-sides or single mixes or something. So Translator is definitely one to check out. Here's a band that probably not fall under the power pop banner, but I love to talk about them anyway. This is the Bus Boys, band from the LA new wave power pop punk scene. Fantastic band. A lot of people know them for them appearing in the movie 48 Hours, and they do the song "The Boys Are Back in Town," not the Thin Lizzy song, but their song. And but this is more poppy, new wavy. Lots of great songs like "Did You See Me?" and that's a great album. This is kind of hard to get now on CD. They release it themselves. Then there is their album American Worker. That album, by the way, is called Minimum Wage Rock and Roll. This is called American Worker. This is out on Wounded Bird. And it's slightly more commercial, but it has a lot of great tracks on it, and it's definitely worth your while. I'm not going to diss this. This is their third album. They went to more sort of a funk soul sound or whatever, and really deviated from the sound of the first two albums. So that's definitely not power pop. The minimum wage rock and roll and American Workers are not necessarily power pop, but they have some great moments on them. Great pop moments, and definitely worth your time. Speaking of great albums worth your time, I'm going to dig in here, and I'm going to pull out... Does anybody remember a band called Sorrows? Or the Poppies? The Poppies put out, I think, an EP or something. Sorrows put out 2 albums, and they both came out on one of the Sony labels. Great stuff. Well, one of the members is back. His name is Arthur Alexander, and he has an album called One Bar Left, and I will tell you that this is just great power pop rock and roll. This is definitely power pop. There are some moments there where maybe it's a little more rock and roll, and I'm not talking hard rock or heavy metal. I'm talking rock and roll. One of the great things about the power pop that we all know and love is at the heart it's rock and roll with great hooks, and Arthur definitely remembers that, and I believe this is probably the first thing he's done since those 2 Sorrows albums, and you can definitely tell that a lot of these songs are sort of written in that same way, whereas, power pop has evolved, and a lot of people now are more influenced by the big stars and the Posies and Matthew Sweets and stuff like that, but this here sticks to the same stuff that he was influenced by when he was growing up in Poland and then moved to America. Definitely that's worth your time. Arthur Alexander, One Bar Left. You need that in your collection now. Oh, it's the Cretones. That's right. Their first album did come out on CD. Is it power pop? It's commercial. They sounded like a band that just had a bunch of great songs, and they sort of lumped them in and had them act like a new wave power pop band. But, some of those songs, like these guys worked with Linda Ronstadt on her, I think the album, was it Mad Love? Her new wave album. And then this was sort of born from all that. They had 2 albums out, but only the first one has come out officially on CD. But they are definitely worth your time. They do have a lot of great hooks. Not necessarily total power pop, but it gets pretty darn close. A lot of people may say, Spaz, you're wrong. That's power pop. Okay, then I'm wrong. This right here, this is a really, really fine release. It's not exactly power pop, but all the people who love like Rockpile and a lot of sort of the more rock and roll based bands of the late 70s are going to love the Fabulous Poodles. It is 3 CD set. It contains all 3 of their albums. Here, let me get these pulled out for you. This is the first album, and it's got plenty of bonus tracks. This album was never released in the US, by the way, but it's got plenty of bonus tracks on it. Second album, called Unsuitable. This is the album that came out here as Mirror Star, or Mirror Stars. And the album Mirror Stars was basically most of this album with a few tracks from that album and a couple, mixes. I think they remixed like Work Shy for a single release. And then their third album, this is my favorite, Think Pink. And that's got more bonus tracks as well. So it's the Fabulous Poodles. Just came out on Cherry Red. And it's really, really worth your while. If you bought the Bram Tchaikovsky box set, if you bought the Yachts box set, if you bought... this is more like the Any Trouble box set, where it's sort of a slim little case with like the little mini LP sleeves. But that's worth your time. You should definitely check that out. Here's somebody a little off the beaten path. A gentleman by the name of Monty Warden. Used to be in an A&M country band called the Wagoneers. And his solo stuff, I guess you could term it as, now it would be called Americana. But he was basically sort of channeling Buddy Holly with a country tinge. So not many country people out there had Rickenbackers. And in fact, even this album here has a Rick on the cover. This is more commercial. This is his major label album, so it's a little more produced and, you know, sort of judged by or guided by the label. But these two albums, see, I guess the Rick is his thing, man. But Monty Warden, definitely an artist with just a plethora of great melodic songs. Like I said, he's more, you know, some people are going to be more Johnny Cash or more Waylon or whatever. He's more Buddy Holly, maybe Roy Orbison. But Monty Warden, definitely try to track those down. And then coming up next is a band from Scotland. 2 albums now available on Future Man Records. Super 8. And these are the 2 albums that are now available through Super 8. They're certainly Scottish indie and along the lines of, let's say, you know, like a Homemade Teenage Fan Club, BMX Bandits, those types of bands. More that than, like, you know, let's say the Bluebells or somebody. But they also do a cover. In fact, on the new album, they do a cover of BMX Bandits' Serious Drugs. And that's got them a lot of attention. Even Douglas T. Stewart from the band has been promoting them as well. I think you should definitely check them out. Once again, Super 8. Is it power pop? Yeah, I'd say so. It's definitely along those power pop lines that power pop guys are going to love them. So definitely check that out. Finally, today's episode. I know that I'm trying to cram a lot in such a small amount of time here. Band called Power Play. They're a Dutch trio. Yes, love the hair too. I know. I tried to get my hair like this for years. It just wasn't working. I had to settle for that. But no, it's a band called Power Play. The best way to put their sound. There's a song on the album called Bad Dreams, which is like the best Wings song that Wings never recorded. Yes, Paul McCartney and Wings. But I got this album. I was listening to it all the time. Very first time I heard The Outfield, Say It Isn't So, which was the single before Your Love. The very first single by The Outfield was Say It Isn't So. When I heard that, I thought, oh, could that just be like an overproduced power play? Because it sounds like they come from the same type of songwriting, just American hook-filled or American-influenced hook-filled pop. Not necessarily power pop, but definitely along the same lines. Some of their stuff has a little jazzier feel. I heard an album like 10 years later by these guys, and they sounded like Bryan Adams by that time. But this right here, the Avanti album, you'd probably be able to find that in probably any used bin nowadays. But it's power play, and that's definitely power pop. Although with slightly commercial edge to it, I guess I would say. Anyway, that's it with this edition of But Is It Power Pop? A couple things that I did want to mention here real fast. There are new album from Pop Co-op, which features Steve from the Sponge Tones and Bruce Gordon, amongst others. And there's a new Lisa Michaels. So those are power pop things to check out as well. Lots of great music coming out. There's never a time, even though sometimes I tend to become really occupied with what has been, what is, you know, I'll listen to things from 1977 to 82. That's really my era right there. That's my favorite time for music. I'm going to admit there's tons of great stuff available coming out now, you know, and please don't ever forget that, because, you know, and keep buying music. Don't stream it. Streaming is blah, 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 blah. It's just a waste of time. Okay, but before I leave, let me show you here. I started actually putting stuff on my walls here after living here for like a year. You know, there's good old Elvis here. There's some of my comics here, you know, going down like right down to my belly right here, down here. Then the LPs go up here. As you can see, I'm trying to, you know, the LPs go here, and let me tilt the screen here, and they go across the top as well. These are albums that changed my life. Anything from, The Last LA Explosion, Badfinger, Squeeze, Yachts, Monkeys, Undertones, Lambrettas, Split Ends 2020, Elvis Costello. There's a big country clock that my buddy Jim bought me, Romantics, and the Cars, Candy O. And I've got other stuff on each side of me, but I can't just pick up and show you. But anyway, that's it. Please remember to listen to and download, comment, and like my Beach Blanket Fort Bingo podcast. I just put one up. It has the interview with the lead singer of Fabulous Poodles. Well, before that was the interview with Dave Fenton from the Vapors. Before that was Brett Hudson from Hudson Brothers. So we've got a lot of great people that I'm chatting with, and people are really enjoying the podcast, and I would love you to enjoy it, and for you to subscribe, and for you to comment, and for you to share. And remember, Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific on woodyradio.com. I have a show called Skibdobbin with SPAZ, and that I play 90% power pop. So please come check it out, and I hope you enjoy that. And also remember www.discussionsmagazine.com, where you could read my reviews and interviews and Q&As and all that fun stuff. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with me here at But Is It Power Pop? And I hope to be back with you soon. So until then, smell you later.